Prince Harry did get into a physical fight with his uncle Prince Andrew, and the pair of royal spares did row over Prince Andrew's warning regarding Meghan Markle.
Prince Harry just got caught in a massive lie about punching his uncle Prince Andrew in the face, and the explosive new evidence that surfaced will shock you to your core. We're talking legal threats, family violence, and secrets that could destroy what's left of the royal family's reputation forever. What I'm about to reveal will change everything you thought you knew about these two disgraced princes, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why Harry is so desperate to keep this story buried. A bombshell new book has just dropped the most devastating allegations against both Harry and Andrew, and Harry's panicked response tells us everything we need to know about what really happened behind palace walls. The author spent 4 years researching this story, interviewed over 300 sources, including former staff, courtiers, and people who were actually there, and what he uncovered about that 2013 royal family gathering will leave you absolutely speechless.
The fall, I have to say, was gradual. I mean, it was really only with Epstein and later, and I suppose the criticisms of him as special trade representative in the early 2000s, that things really began to go wrong.
According to entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York by Andrew Lowney, Prince Harry didn't just argue with his uncle Andrew at a family event in 2013. He completely lost control and turned violent. The book claims Harry threw punches and left Andrew with a bloody nose after Andrew made some brutal but accurate comments about Meghan Markle behind Harry's back. But here's where it gets really interesting. Andrew apparently told Harry he was making the biggest mistake of his life marrying Meghan, called her an opportunist who was too old for him, and predicted their marriage wouldn't last more than a month.
Caused shockwaves all across the world, and it has also prompted this extraordinary on-the-record denial from Prince Harry. But you stand by your reporting. You've obviously spoken to well over 300 of the Duke of York's.
The level of detail in these allegations is absolutely insane and shows this wasn't just some minor disagreement. According to the book's sources, Harry confronted Andrew about the comments, calling him a coward for not saying it to his face. That's when things escalated into physical violence, with Harry getting the better of Andrew and leaving him with a bloody nose before other family members broke up the fight. The source claims Harry later told William that he hated Andrew, showing just how deep this family rift really goes and how it's been festering for over a decade. The author, Andrew Lowney, didn't just throw these allegations out there randomly either. This guy has written best-selling royal biographies before that have completely changed how we view historical figures, including exposing Nazi connections around the Duke of Windsor. He's got an incredible track record for uncovering royal secrets that nobody else can get to, and his books have a habit of permanently damaging the reputations of the people he writes about. And he's got sources coming out of his ears. We're talking former staff members, courtiers, people who worked closely with both princes, and insiders who witnessed these events firsthand.
The rise and fall of the House of York to Prince Harry's threat to sue. And Andrew Lowney, the man behind this bombshell new book, which has sent shockwaves through the British royal family.
What makes this even more credible is that Lowney spent 4 years on this research, conducting hundreds of interviews with people who had never spoken publicly before. This wasn't some rushed hit job designed to make quick money. This was a methodical investigation that involved painstaking fact-checking and verification. The book is over 450 pages of meticulously documented scandals, financial irregularities, and personal dysfunction, and the Harry-Andrew fight is just one small part of a much bigger story about royal corruption and violence. But what happened next is where this story gets really wild and shows Harry's true character in all its ugly glory. Instead of just ignoring it like most royals do with unflattering stories, Harry's legal team went into full panic mode within hours of the story breaking.
Never ever denied that. But when it came to these allegations, he did release a statement to his favorite US tabloid people Prince Harry denies physical fight with Prince Andrew and comments made about Meghan Markle in the explosive new book.
They fired off a threatening letter to the Daily Mail, calling the claims gross inaccuracies and defamatory remarks. Harry's spokesperson came out swinging, saying he and Andrew never had a physical fight and that Andrew never made those comments about Meghan. Here's what's absolutely mind-blowing about Harry's denial and shows his incredible hypocrisy. This is the same guy who never once denied the racism allegations against his father, Charles, and sister-in-law, Kate. Remember when Omid Scobie basically called them racists in his book Endgame? Harry stayed completely silent and let them get destroyed in the media. When Meghan went on Oprah and suggested that unnamed royals made racist comments about Archie's skin color, Harry just sat there nodding along and even added fuel to the fire with his own comments. But the second someone suggests he got violent with Andrew, suddenly he's ready to lawyer up and fight back with everything he's got. That selective outrage tells you everything you need to know about what Harry's really trying to hide. He was perfectly fine letting his father and sister-in-law get dragged through the mud with racism accusations that could have destroyed their reputations forever. But suggest that Harry himself might have thrown some punches? That's where he draws the line and brings in the lawyers. The hypocrisy is absolutely staggering and shows exactly what kind of person Harry really is. And speaking of Harry's violent tendencies, let's talk about the mountain of evidence that's been piling up for years, showing this guy has serious anger management issues that go way beyond this one incident with Andrew. A video recently resurfaced of the late Taylor Hawkins from the Foo Fighters describing how Harry straight up assaulted him at a charity event, and the details are absolutely shocking. Hawkins wasn't joking around or exaggerating when he told this story. He gave a detailed account of how Harry walked up to him and slapped him hard across the face just to wake him up, knowing full well that his security team would prevent any retaliation. In that interview, Hawkins described being exhausted after flying to England and doing a show, telling Harry he couldn't wake up because he was so tired. Harry's response? He slapped him hard across the face and asked if he was awake now, like it was some kind of joke.
Prince Andrew, his royal oafishness, sex-obsessed, vulgar, vile bedroom habits, and a Meghan bullying bombshell, all exposed in devastating book royals tried to ban. And then you'll see why Harry left him.
When Hawkins started to react angrily, calling Harry a motherfucker, Harry's security immediately stepped in to protect the prince. It was a perfect example of Harry using his royal status and protection to get away with behavior that would get anyone else arrested for assault. Hawkins was clearly pissed off about it, and you can see in the interview that he's still angry about being humiliated like that in front of other people. This isn't some isolated incident either, and the pattern of violence goes back to Harry's childhood. Harry himself admitted in his own memoir Spare that he got into a physical fight with his brother William, describing in graphic detail how William grabbed him by the collar, ripped his necklace, and knocked him to the floor. Harry landed on a dog bowl that cracked under his back, cutting him with the pieces. But instead of learning from this experience or showing any remorse, Harry seemed almost proud of the confrontation in his book. He's also admitted to violence against bodyguards and security personnel who were literally just trying to do their jobs and protect him. There are multiple stories of Harry lashing out at photographers, getting into confrontations outside nightclubs, and generally being held back by his protection officers who had to prevent him from getting into even more trouble. A former nanny even said Harry was angry from birth. This guy has been throwing tantrums and getting physical his entire life. The pattern becomes crystal clear when you look at all these incidents together over the years. Harry has always been protected by his royal status and security team, which gave him the confidence to get aggressive with people who couldn't fight back. Whether it's slapping a famous drummer, fighting with his brother, or apparently punching his uncle, Harry's got a serious problem with controlling his temper and his fists. He's basically been a bully his entire life, protected by his position and his bodyguards from facing any real consequences. But here's the plot twist that nobody saw coming and that makes this whole story even more incredible. Prince Andrew might actually be the good guy in this particular story. Yeah, I know that sounds absolutely crazy given everything we know about Andrew and the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, but hear me out on this one because the evidence is overwhelming. When you look at what Andrew allegedly said about Meghan back in 2013, the man was absolutely right about everything, and history has proven him correct on every single point. Andrew supposedly warned Harry that he hadn't done any due diligence into Meghan's background, called her an opportunist who was using Harry for status and money, and predicted their marriage would be a complete disaster that would damage the royal family.
Harry, his marriage to Meghan Markle would not last more than a month, and accused his nephew of going bonkers and not doing any due diligence into her past. He openly accused Meghan of being an opportunist and thought she was too old for Harry, adding that his nephew was making the biggest mistake ever.
He allegedly said Meghan was too old for Harry, too experienced and manipulative, and that his nephew was going bonkers by rushing into this relationship without properly vetting his future wife. Fast forward to today, and what do we see? Every single one of Andrew's predictions has come true in the most spectacular way possible. Harry and Meghan have completely destroyed their relationship with the royal family, burned bridges with almost everyone they knew before the marriage, and turned their private family drama into a multi-million-dollar media circus. They've made a career out of trashing the institution that gave them everything, all while claiming to be victims of the very system that made them wealthy and famous in the first place. They've isolated themselves in California, lost most of their friends, and turned their children into pawns in their ongoing war against the royal family. The book reveals that Andrew wasn't the only one with serious concerns about Meghan either, which makes his warnings even more significant. Multiple sources confirm that other members of the royal family were privately expressing similar worries about Harry's relationship, but they were too polite or too scared to say anything directly to Harry's face. The difference is that Andrew had the guts to say it to Harry directly instead of just gossiping behind his back like everyone else was doing. Andrew told Harry that Meghan was using him for status and money, that she was too old and experienced for him, and that the whole thing would blow up spectacularly and damage the monarchy. He was basically trying to prevent exactly what ended up happening, and he was willing to risk his relationship with Harry to tell him the truth. And how did Harry respond to this well-intentioned warning from someone who genuinely cared about him? By throwing punches instead of actually listening to what might have been some pretty solid advice that could have saved him from years of misery. If Harry had actually listened to his uncle instead of getting violent, he might have avoided the biggest mistake of his life. He might still have a relationship with his family. His children might know their grandfather and uncle, and he wouldn't be stuck in California making Netflix deals and podcast episodes that nobody wants to watch or listen to. Meanwhile, Prince William is reportedly working behind the scenes to get Andrew evicted from Royal Lodge. And with King Charles dealing with his cancer diagnosis, the succession planning has become absolutely critical for the future of the monarchy.
His nephews was also a problem. At a family gathering in 2013, Harry and Andrew had got into a heated argument and punches were thrown over something Andrew said behind Harry's back. According to a source close to both men, Harry told him he was a coward not to say it to his face.
The book reveals that William apparently loathes both Andrew and Sarah Ferguson and can't wait for the day when his father throws them both out. If Charles doesn't do it, William's planning to make evicting them his first priority when he becomes king. What we're really seeing here is a royal family civil war playing out behind palace walls, and it's getting more vicious and public by the day. You've got Harry in California launching legal threats over a book that exposes his violent past, Andrew hiding out in his mansion while more scandals emerge, and William trying to clean house before he inherits the throne. Charles is caught in the middle, dealing with his own health issues while trying to manage these family disasters that threaten to destroy the monarchy's reputation forever. But the damage is already done, and it's probably irreversible at this point. The book has reignited all the worst stories about both Harry and Andrew, reminded everyone of their most embarrassing moments, and exposed the deep dysfunction that's eating away at the royal family from the inside. Whether Harry likes it or not, people are now talking about his history of violence, his terrible judgment about family relationships, and his complete inability to handle criticism like an adult. The book has also vindicated Prince Andrew's warnings about Meghan Markle in a way that nobody expected, and that must be driving Harry absolutely crazy. While Andrew might be a disgraced royal with serious questions to answer about his past, when it came to warning Harry about Meghan, the man was absolutely right about everything. Harry should have listened to his uncle instead of throwing punches, because everything Andrew predicted has come true in the most spectacular and public way possible. What we're really seeing here is a royal family civil war playing out behind palace walls, and it's getting more vicious and public by the day. You've got Harry in California launching legal threats over a book that exposes his violent past, Andrew hiding out in his mansion while more scandals emerge, and William trying to clean house before he inherits the throne. Charles is caught in the middle, dealing with his own health issues while trying to manage these family disasters that threaten to destroy the monarchy's reputation forever. But the damage is already done, and it's probably irreversible at this point. The book has reignited all the worst stories about both Harry and Andrew, reminded everyone of their most embarrassing moments, and exposed the deep dysfunction that's eating away at the royal family from the inside. Whether Harry likes it or not, people are now talking about his history of violence, his terrible judgment about family relationships, and his complete inability to handle criticism like an adult. The book has also vindicated Prince Andrew's warnings about Meghan Markle in a way that nobody expected, and that must be driving Harry absolutely crazy. While Andrew might be a disgraced royal with serious questions to answer about his past, when it came to warning Harry about Meghan, the man was absolutely right about everything. Harry should have listened to his uncle instead of throwing punches, because everything Andrew predicted has come true in the most spectacular and public way possible. And now, with legal threats flying, family secrets spilling out everywhere, and more revelations likely to come from other sources, this royal war is just getting started. The monarchy is facing its biggest crisis in decades, with two of its most prominent members embroiled in scandals that seem to get worse every day. Whether the institution can survive this level of dysfunction and public embarrassment remains to be seen. But one thing is absolutely certain: the royal family will never be the same again, and Harry's violent past is now part of the permanent record.